Joe's too critical of the Simpsons.
Oh no. Hello? My name's Joe. How's it going? This is Joe's Too Critical of The Simpsons. It's a fantastic podcast. It's probably the best one on the internet. It is a podcast in which I summarize the newest episode of modern Simpsons, and I do that by doing a wee little radio play thing using funny voices that are kind of impressions of the characters, kinda. They come from my series that was on YouTube, The Simpsons, Simpsums. You can go to YouTube if you're listening to this on SoundCloud and watch those. They're sort of animated. They're real ugly and scary. I don't do them so often because so sleepy. Now I do this. So I summarize it with the radio play and the silly voices from the thingy. After the summary, I do a criticism of the episode where I talk about what's wrong with it, and there's a lot wrong with it always, and I talk too long. Then I don't know, do some news about what the fuck is going on with me. Jesus. If you're listening to this on YouTube and you want to download a file of an MP3 to listen to, go to SoundCloud. I put download links. Links everywhere for everything. If you're listening on SoundCloud, go to YouTube. I don't know, just synergy, PR saturation, media analytics. You should take notes on this stuff. Media integration was absolutely the phrase I was looking for the entire time in terms of modern tech buzzwords. Now then, we're going to pretty much go right into the summary. The only thing I want to mention, usually in the intro, I talk about stuff I might have missed the previous episode. I said last episode it was kind of cool the way they, as an aside, revealed that the music teacher was gay. Apparently that he's been gay before it's been revealed. So Smithers didn't come out, if you ask me. Music teacher had already gone past. In other words, nobody came out in the last episode. Nobody likes Millhouse. Okay, that's enough of that. All right, here's the summary of this new episode. This is season 27, episode 18. It is called How Lisa Got Her Marge Back, and it aired on April 10th, 2016. Woo-woo.
Here's the summary.
I'm Bart. I tried to do the dollar on a fishing line prank. Nobody falls for the prank. And then I am pranked by the quarter glued to the sidewalk prank by someone else. It's not okay with me. Back at the house. Dad, could I be now bad at pranks?
Who cares?
Next morning in the kitchen. It's me, Lisa. Want to hear my new saxophone piece?
No, I conveniently have to go to work.
I don't want to hear it either, but I'll pretend I'd love to.
She doesn't say that, but you can tell she doesn't want to hear it. Okay.
The saxophone.
Oh, it's great. I'm lying.
At school. I'm gonna try to prank Ralph. I fail at pranking even Ralph, who is quite the dullard, I'm sure you'll agree. Back at the house. Marge, Lisa, and Homer are all in the foyer. Dad, wanna hear my shitty sax solo now? Oh, hold on, I have to go get a new sax thing for the thing that's broken on my sax. Lisa goes upstairs, and when she comes back, she stops at the top of the stairs and she hears Marge and Homer talking.
I already heard Lisa's shitty solo. I already heard Lisa's shitty sax solo, and I fucking hate jazz, to be honest.
Alright. Then there's a commercial break in the show, so the conversation is awkwardly interrupted and picked up again later at night in Marge and Homer's bedroom. There's no reason really for the break. It's just they changed the scene because they had to commercials. So, you always lied to me about liking my jazz? This fucks my life.
I'm sorry.
I'm pissed. Lisa fucks off.
This is bad news. Lisa and I were always close.
Then there's a flashback of Marge giving Lisa pearls like when she gave Lisa her pearls, the signature pearls of the Simpson women. Okay, next day, I guess, Bart is throwing out all his prank shit like a whoopee cushion and stuff. He throws them all out, that's all.
Oh, Lisa, you and I are going on a trip to Capital City to reconnect. Hey, you didn't bring your sax.
Yeah, 'cause you fucking hate it.
Whatever, bring it, okay?
So Lisa gets her damn sax.
Okay, we're leaving, Homer. You take the baby.
I'm sad, by the way.
Okay, watch the baby. That'll cheer you up.
Then in a very odd and slightly wrong-looking bit of animation, Bart finds he can hold Maggie's pacifier from the one side while it stays in her mouth, and he flings her about like a yo-yo. It looks a little off. But that makes him like Maggie now. He likes Maggie now because he can do that. And then you get a fucking montage of him and Maggie having fun, all right? Maybe I can use this damn baby for pranks. So he dresses Maggie up like a little angel and puts her through the Flanders window on a fishing line, and Rod and Todd think she's a real angle. Rod and Todd think she's a real angel, and they, whatever, okay? It's great. It's fine. It's good. Hooray, I can return to my life of pranks. Marge and Lisa are on the capital city trip. Lisa's bored. That's all you really need to know. Marge, at some point, ditches Lisa, it seems. I don't know why. She's by herself on the streets of capital city, and she's trying to find a musical Lisa would want to see.
Oh, she'll like this Bad News Bears musical.
Back in the hotel room.
I got tickets to it.
It sounds shit.
Whatever, it was expensive. Also, I got you these earrings of anthropomorphic cucumbers playing the sax.
I don't wear jewelry lately.
Oh shit, you aren't wearing your pearls.
Yeah, well, you really hurt me.
You're a bitch! Boo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo.
So Marge is crying, but Lisa's like, stalwart. Won't back down. I am using Maggie to prank people out of money. I'm not going to describe the scene. Leave me alone. So Lisa and Marge go to the Bad News Bears musical. It's shit.
I love it!
Mom has bad taste like a mom does. I guess I'll just pretend to like it. So Lisa smiles a bit. She tries her best.
Oh, looks like Lisa likes it.
So on the way out of the musical.
Oh, I loved it.
I didn't love it much. I'm Andrew Rannells. I'm the guest star. I was the star of the play. I'll go have dinner with you. Back at the house, Bart's last prank is cutting Maggie's hair to look like his and then making Homer think Maggie is Bart. And he also glues her pacifier to the floor, so Homer tries to pick it up for Bart and Maggie, and he falls, and his head goes into the fireplace, and his hair goes on fire, whatever. Why, you little... No, Homer, that's Maggie you're about to strangle. Maggie the baby. Oh shit, I'll strangle you instead.
Ark, ork, ark, ork.
Anyway, look, you're pretty awful, Bart, so be decent and don't turn your baby sister into you. Because that's bad.
Okay, no more pranks, Maggie. Okay. Marge, Lisa, and Andrew Rannells are at a restaurant. Marge fucks off for a bit. My mom a big bitch. You seem the bitch to me. Barely anyone likes jazz, so why should Mom? This is the train of thought of this conversation. I don't know. Marge comes back. Sorry, Mom, I can't stay mad at you. I'll put my pearls back on. Then they leave the restaurant, and Lisa borrows some homeless man's sax or something and sings a big musical number.
Oh, you're good, I guess. Whatever. Love you.
Then there's a tag of them now having a good time at Capital City. And then there's yet another tag that, I don't know, Marge seems to accept Lisa's sax more than before, but then she sees Maggie playing a toy sax, and she takes it away from her, throws it in the trash. No sax for Maggie! No sax for Maggie! Alright. Now for criticism! So here's the criticism of this episode. I start by saying the jokes I did like. There were a handful. There is a part when Bart is throwing his pranks out. He has a flashback to a time he pranked Skinner, and he opened a can of mixed nuts, and the spring comes out. When he opens the can, When he opens the can, Skinner goes, "What the? A coiled wired spring covered by a snake pattern vinyl sheath?" Which is good. Because it's, playing on the idea that those fucking things, they don't look like snakes to anyone ever. They look exactly like that. It looks like a piece of shit thing. But he's still, startled. What is this coiled wired spring? This is pretty bad. But the prank I just skipped over, it's something to do with, for one thing, it seems like it didn't need to actually have he didn't need Maggie for real for this prank to work. He apparently, makes a replica of Maggie. Gil is working at a store, and he manages to make Gil hold the baby, and then Gil drops the baby because it's too much pressure for him, and the baby shatters. And it's not the real Maggie somehow. I don't know. But it's just a really stupid line. Gil says, every time I get a good job, I drop a baby. I did somehow find the whole sequence. As I was saying it this time, I'm realizing what the fuck. None of it makes any sense. It's unclear what the fuck Bart's prank idea is when he cuts Maggie's hair to make it look like him.
the only reason it works is because it's that funny thing where Homer's just so incredibly stupid that he goes along with everything. So it is kind of funny. He walks in the room and sees Maggie sitting there with the Bart haircut and goes, "Hello, Bart Jr." But it is a weird thing. It's like, wait, what was the joke? What was the idea? It seems like he cuts Maggie's hair as part of the prank, unless you're just supposed to think he's going like, "Now you look like me, because I'm turning you into infamous Hellion Jr." I don't know. So it's very odd. The joke is that the pacifier's on the ground, on the floor, he glued it to the floor. Homer tries to pull on the pacifier and falls backwards into the fireplace, and his head catches on fire. And then he almost strangles Maggie because she looks like Bart. So there's no reason for her to look like Bart currently. It's clearly so they can end the plot, now that I think about it. It's so they can end the plot with him going, "Look, don't make your sister into you. Like, two of you would be horrible, and even you have to see that." Yeah, it's pretty sloppy. But I don't know. I laughed at Bart Jr. I like that idea of Homer just being so dumb, just going along with, "Hey, Bart Jr." And also, I don't know, somehow it got me, even though it was so obvious. He almost strangles Maggie, and then Bart goes, "No, wait, you're about to strangle a baby." And Homer goes, "Oh, that would have been horrible." And then he goes, "Why, you little?" and strangles Bart instead. I don't know. It was like it sort of telegraphed from a mile away, but somehow it was very funny to me. I mean, I guess it was one of those times where, they made that whole episode that was about actually addressing Homer's strangulation of Bart as kind of a child abuse issue, and they tried to like make it into a plot, and it was a terrible idea because it turned it into like a gross real world thing. It was a terrible idea. I've seen somebody say, and I don't know if this is true or not, that Matt Groening at one point said one of the rules of the show should be we don't draw attention to the like true horribleness of Homer strangling Bart. I don't know if that's true or not. Someone can tell me if they'd like. I do a lot of research, obviously, for this hot podcast. But in this case anyway, what I was going to say about that joke, it kind of is funny to me that's a time when they comment, that's like a meta joke that I'm okay with, the idea that it'd be horrible to watch Homer strangle a baby, but it's okay if he strangles Bart. Like, it's only funny because of the legacy of the show, because it's poking, it's pointing out how dumb this is, that he gets away with it just because it's established that he chokes Bart all the time. When Lisa and Marge make up, Lisa says sorry for whatever, and Marge goes, "And I apologize for expressing my sincere feelings." That's good. It's good. Self-effacing Marge. And this isn't really a joke, but just because I think more than once, but there was one episode in particular, the one where Homer becomes a deacon and Edward Norton's in it, where it's a funny notion to me to just talk about like what Bart does as pranks, just like the nebulous idea of pranks. And the funny thing is, this episode particularly actually does it. It's the idea of Bart is just bad at pranks now, because it's such an open concept, like what isn't a prank. And it's actually a problem with the episode, to be honest, where sometimes pranks seem to be grifting people out of money, sometimes pranks just seem to be messing with people, and it's unclear, like there's not an established through line. Everything's kind of changes from scene to scene a little bit. But anyway, that idea is just funny to me because I have been doing it in The Simpsons. I have been like, "Oh, want to do pranks?" Just pranks. And there actually is a line where Bart says to Maggie, "I wonder how you are at pranks." Just pranks. It's sort of my friends and I came up once with, you think of those ideas of like sitcoms, or like Quantum Leap was a drama. I'm going way off on a tangent about this pranks thing, but Quantum Leap was a drama that basically was invented as the most like we can do anything we want from week to week because we can literally drop this dude into any person into any time period and make the problem, his conflict is different every time. So like it's one of those things where you barely have to establish rules for your world because you can just go, every week's fucking different, completely different conflict, whatever. I actually enjoyed Quantum Leap back in the day. I think maybe it's a bad show. It probably is a bad show. But we came up with my friends and I came up with a comedy called Crazy Manager, which is about a manager who runs a dick factory. I don't know what they make there. We never see inside. I guess they make dicks. But he's so rich, he doesn't have to ever be at the dick factory, so he just spends all his time. His secret life is he likes to go out and commit crimes. He loves to commit crimes. And that's just it. And he has a butler whose name is Jeeves, of course. The idea of this was supposed to be as uncreative as possible. And Jeeves, every week is just, long-suffering poor Jeeves, his sidekick, just goes like, well, what are we going to do today, sir? Or maybe it's tonight. Maybe it's like Pinky. What are we going to do tonight, sir? And then the crazy manager says something like the same thing we do every night. Commit crimes. Oh, sir. Doesn't it sound like a good show? And then the general idea of it was they commit little crimes. Like one episode, they just go jaywalking. One episode, they, steal money from a tip jar. And then my goal would be in the 4th or 5th season or something like that, after all these little crimes, they commit like unspeakable murder, rape. And then it goes back to like silly pranks the next week and we never address it again. I don't know. Tell me if you think it's a good show or not. Okay. Yeah, okay. A joke in this episode that was kind of fucked up to me. I don't know. The opening joke, I always talk about how toothless the show is now and how the show used to be a satire and now it's not. And this was not toothless, but somehow it just seemed mean. It was an opening joke about Bart gets his, he gets his fake, I guess it's a fake dollar. I don't know. He buys, it's not just a fishing line on a dollar. It's like a contraption he buys called the money grabber. And it was made in China, and the way they show him getting it is they show the origin of the money grabber, and it's being made in this factory in China full of little kids. And one of the little kids says in Chinese, but there's subtitles, I'm running out of saliva because he has to lick, there's something he has to lick to close it, or I don't remember. But I'm running out of saliva, and his overlord supervisor guy says, use your tears. And then Bart says something like, China, is there anything you can't make, or something like that. And then you hear, he hears this sort of like ethereal voice go, xie xie, thank you, in Chinese. And I don't know if that means the boy is dead. Maybe that means the boy died. It's unclear, or if it's just he hears him mystically in China. But I mean, it's satire, and it's not entirely inaccurate. Like, China's fucked up. There's a lot of fucked up stuff going down in China. I lived there for a year, and I'm not like... I came away more critical of China, if I'm being perfectly honest. I have a lot of opinions about the stuff that's kind of fucked up in that country from what I witnessed. But it still seems very mean-spirited. It doesn't... I don't know. There's like a fine line between satire and going like, this is fucked up, and just seeming racist. And it seems a little racist, and I don't know. It wasn't funny, it was just kind of mean. It was just really mean-spirited. I don't know, because I don't know how to feel about it, because it's one of those situations where I'm like, well, this is one of those times they didn't just kind of put in a very inoffensive joke. I mean, it was a pretty harsh joke, and I got to give them that. I just didn't laugh. And it seemed pretty fucked up, so, And this episode has a fair amount of references to the show, to, like, the past, which I am not a fan of. In the opening, they've been doing a thing now, because it's so easy with computers to just plop shit into the intro. Before they even get to the couch gag or anything, like, the bit in the clouds, they sometimes put some shit in there. Or maybe they do it every week now, I don't know. I guess that's always a reference, though, so no, whatever. But it seemed more like, I was surprised it was so old. It was, Homer in his car from that episode where he invented his own car and made his brother bankrupt. Yeah, Homer in his little car. And the people, I didn't mention it when I summarized it, but the people who prank Bart with the quarter glued to the ground are the Archie gang, the Riverdale gang, which isn't really a direct reference to that episode with the stay out of Riverdale, but it feels... I mean, I don't think I've ever seen those guys pop up again, so it feels a little... It feels, it's late to be bringing... It's very late now to be bringing that up as a new reference, going like, hey, remember this from Archie? When the Stay Out of Riverdale joke happened, it was closer to the actual release of the source. I know Archie never fucking ends, but, it doesn't feel like someone just going, hey, what about a funny Archie reference? It feels like somebody going, hey, remember that time they did that Archie reference in the fucking 90s? Let's do it again, but not as funny. Sherry Bobbins is in I don't even get what's happening. The beginning starts with Homer watching football, and it's something to do with him watching American football, but through a British television show. I couldn't keep track of it. Maybe because I know fuck all about sports, but it was very odd to me. Sherry Bobbins is there on screen. There she is. And then the fucking stupidest shit they did. When Marge says she's going to bring Lisa to the Bad News Bears musical, Lisa says, "The Bad News Bears, is there nothing so beautiful that they won't keep exploiting till it's worthless?" And then as she says that, it flashes on the bottom of the screen, Simpsons Season 17 DVD is still on sale. Ho 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 ho. So they're acknowledging the exploitation of their own product. Very fucking funny. Like it's one of those things where they acknowledge it, and I'm just like, yeah, very funny. So you know about it. Good. You're still awful for making this show forever. Furthermore, the line is shitty. It took me a while to realize how weird the line is. The construction of the language is there nothing so beautiful that they won't keep exploiting till it's worthless? Yeah. I think she's just so beautiful is just a modifier of beautiful. Is there nothing, super beautiful, nothing extremely beautiful that they don't mind exploiting? But the use of so makes it sound like, isn't there anything that's so beautiful that they are unable to exploit it because they are, blinded by the beauty, the beauty speaks volumes, so they can't exploit it because that would be wrong. Like, I don't think that's what she means. Is there nothing so beautiful that they won't? Unless that is what she means. I don't know. It's a weird, like, bizarrely poetic or attempting to be poetic line. Is there nothing so beautiful that they won't keep exploiting until it's worthless? Whatever. So it doesn't really work as a joke because it's not funny enough. It's just like, fuck you guys for still making the show. And the sentence is weird to me. I don't know. All right. As for the episode itself and how the episode kind of told its plot, it's another attempt. I will have to say this is a big thing this season. It feels like it, but maybe it's just because I haven't been analyzing them so deeply in the past. But it seems like this season's turning. Maybe it's a deliberate effort to kind of move away from all that shit they were doing with like getting too sci-fi. Although they fail sometimes because they still have mutant milk, blah blah blah. They still have Lisa inventing sentient AI, and their first episode of the season was insane. It wasn't sci-fi, but it was fucking insane. Every Man's Dream, I think it's called. But there have been a good number of episodes that attempt, it seems, to be grounded. They attempt to deal with very minor, very small character issues. The plots do not go in any particularly too insane direction. However, the poor plotting of modern Simpsons, and this is, I've been saying this so many times now. There have been so many episodes like this kind of in a row. The poor plotting and kind of shitty jokes sometimes betray the attempt at a grounded episode because they don't really quite know how to do a grounded episode. They don't really know how to have these moments between characters, how to slow the episode down. They do with what I'm kind of calling a bullet point style of storytelling, where it's just like, well, this has to be the part Lisa gets mad, this has to be the part Marge cries, and they don't really build to it too well. I guess I would say the best scene they've got in there probably is when Marge buys her the earrings, and she cries, because it's a pretty long scene, and it just feels rare to see these long scenes dedicated to just these dialogues between these two characters, any two characters, hashing stuff out. So, and it ends with like Marge crying and Lisa thinking, like, turning her back to her and just deciding to stick to her guns, and I'm not gonna let Marge's crying get to me. And that's an alright scene. But okay, I'll return to the problems with that plot. I just want to kind of, because the B plot's easier to talk about quick, I will do that first. The B plot, Maggie and Bart, it ties in okay, basically. I mean, often now the two plots feel so separate, and this one kind of has a catalyst in that Marge leaves for a while, so she leaves Maggie at home, and Bart gets stuck with Maggie. But it's a plot that's a little more fine on an idea level than anything else, because it is a little upsetting, because it's not a terrible idea to show Bart and Maggie bonding. That's something that I don't feel happens that often. Very little happens with Maggie, period, because she doesn't talk, and, they can't think of what to do with her. They forget she's fucking there. I mean, the idea of it could be something cool, like, yeah, she's good at little pranks and shit, and the ending's a good idea, too. Like, don't turn her into you. Even you can see that's a bad idea, basically. But, again, it's a bullet point thing. It's not executed very well. I mean, the general idea that Bart just thinks he's bad at pranks, like, it's exactly what I was saying before about the idea of it just being pranks. It's too open-ended. It doesn't really add up. Like, if he's not good at one prank, why is he shitty at other, like, I don't know. I don't know. There's a better way to handle this idea that Bart feels, oh, you know what? I'm not into it anymore. I'm not like getting, I can't put my all into pranking people anymore. I don't know. His prank on Ralph, I don't even fucking understand. Maybe this is a known prank. It wasn't familiar to me. He puts salt in the napkin dispenser, and he tries to get Ralph to pull a napkin out. I guess so salt goes in his face. What? Is that what happens? I don't know. Wouldn't pepper be better for sneezing? I don't understand. Anyway, Ralph doesn't do it. But what? Feel free to explain that prank to me. And then they rely on a fucking montage. They love their montages. It's a crutch for them. So that just kind of cheapens it because you could have put real scenes in. And again, the pranks are all over the place. One is making Flanders' kids think she's an angel. One is a broken baby that Gil drops, which it's unclear if it's to get money or not. I think it is. Pay for the baby? I have no idea. And then the last prank, as I said, makes sense, sort of, but not really. Why is she in Bart's haircut? And it's kind of, again, it's a good idea to get out of the prank for the plot to end that way. It doesn't need a big ending, other than Homer saying, look, this is fucked up. Maggie could be a good kid. Don't make her like you. I think that's okay. It's just the path there is very abrupt and requires Bart to cut Maggie's hair into his hair for no real discernible reason. The general idea of like getting into this plot and getting out of it is pretty shitty. And also, I just realized at the end, does it just mean Bart's bad at pranks again? No more pranks for Bart. He doesn't have Maggie anymore, can't do any more pranks. So yeah, again, that one's more just okay on the idea level. So some of the stuff with Lisa and Marge works, like the bedroom, like the hotel room scene. I said, the fact that she realizes nobody likes Jazz, why should her mom also like Jazz? Why should she expect her to? Kind of comes out of nowhere, which I said. It's basically just Andrew Reynolds, the guest star, saying, like, you are taking your mom for granted. And then her going, like, nobody likes Jazz. Like, all right, kind of. And I will say, guest star-wise, Andrew Reynolds was used fairly well because it was one of those times where they take a guest star and they have them make fun of themselves a lot. He's all right. He can sing, so they have him do a musical. A lot of the Bad News Bears songs in it. I mean, if people don't know him, and that's the joke. The joke of it is him going like, "You've never heard of him, but he's a big deal. Everybody likes him." He was the guy starring in the Book of Mormon, on stage in New York, and I think he's like generally the main guy in it. And he's on Girls, which I know all my audience watches. He's the main gain. He's the main gay guy character on Girls, Elijah, which they don't even mention, which is kind of funny. They just like mention he's from Book of Mormon. Remember? They don't mention he's on Girls. But I don't know. He's like fine. It's like kind of all right. The joke of him, he's used in a way that you feel like, oh, this is kind of how they use their guest stars sometimes in the past, but it's not as funny. If I'm being honest, though, I mean, the stuff between Marge and Lisa is more or less there. It's pretty grounded, and it's pretty much, it doesn't have huge plot movements to it. It's more or less just Marge has been lying to Lisa all this time about liking Jazz, and then it just takes her the whole episode to like win Lisa back. That's kind of it. Which is fine. I mean, that's okay. And I know some people really thought I missed the mark on that Smithers episode previously. And I have to be honest, this episode and that one, I can't really tell which one's worse or better. They're both quite similar in that they've kind of got a grounded thing between two characters happening, and it's just not totally executed that well. And I don't know, you might be able to argue this has more scenes that make the emotional stuff work than the other one, or it might just be kind of on the same level. I do know overall I found this one less well put together, and I think it's just because, I mean, it has a few of those scenes between Marge and Lisa that work pretty okay, but there's a lot of fucking filler in this episode. There's a lot of filler. There's a montage, as I said, between Bart and Maggie. There is a really quite long sequence joke of marquees as Marge looks around trying to find which musical will Lisa like. She looks at all these marquees, and you get to watch like 3 or 4 of them. There's like, they're all famous movies. There's like a Men in Black musical. There's a G.I. Jane musical. And it's just Marge standing in the middle of this Broadway type setting looking at these different marquees, which are all playing like on big screens commercials for their like full commercials for the show, which is not entirely inaccurate. We have that now. We've got like big TV screens everywhere. The future is now. But she can hear them perfectly well too. She's just it's just such an ugly looking situation where Marge is in the middle of this street with no one fucking else around. It's just that where they don't give a shit how anything looks, and they don't give a shit about making the world feel alive. It's just like, Marge needs to pick a musical, and we need to fill time, so we'll watch these 3 dumb jokes like that are fairly lengthy sequences of, well, what if a G.I. Jane musical? What about a Men in Black musical? Like, that's all it is. And she just stands there and watches these musicals, and you have to, ugh. So that feels like filler. The musical itself of the Bad News Bears kind of feels like, they used to do that. They'd have long asides for comedy like the Planet of the Apes musical, but that was fucking funny. And, the songs were so good. The Dr. Zayas song has, like, lived on. Everybody knows that song. These are not that good. And you basically watch a big shitload of the musical. I mean, it has a function of Lisa realizing, oh, Marge has really bad taste. Like, these little plot movements are not so bad. Lisa realizes Marge has mom taste, but still, you watch quite a lot of the musical, and it's not very funny. There is one kind of funny moment. There is a giant, because Walter Matthau was in the original Bad News Bears, a Walter Matthau float is brought out at the end, like, held up by people, and he's an angel, too. And he comes out and he says a bunch of really like gruff, like talks like Walter Matthau, like a grumpy old man. And it's sort of a funny idea, this idea that they didn't get somebody to play. They got him, like, I don't know, they got like a giant float of Walter Matthau to represent Walter Matthau. It's just, it's the bombast of it, the like sloppiness of it is sort of a funny idea. But overall, not a very good musical, not a funny musical. And Lisa, again, it's a lot of music, I guess, because it's a musical episode about saxophones, blah, blah, blah. She has a song at the end, and it fucking sucks. She sings Nobody's Gonna Rain on My Parade. I think it's a real song, right? She sings this song, but she first, like, borrows some homeless man or is a street musician's sax. She starts playing on the sax, and then she goes like, I'm just getting started. And then she throws the sax away and she starts singing, and it becomes a big musical number where she runs all over Capital City singing, and like stuff that couldn't possibly be happening is happening. Like the Lion King is on a roof. There's people in Lion King costumes, or it looks almost like they're real lions doing the part where he holds Simba aloft, So it's a musical number, and then she comes back and goes to Marge like, what do you think? And Marge calls her a golden child. I don't know. But it's this weird thing where it's like, I said actually last episode, it's a rule in musicals that you kind of, what you're watching didn't really happen. Some version of it happened. People had a conversation. Maybe Lisa just played the sax normally and it was better than usual. But there's that unspoken rule kind of musicals that what you're watching is not the reality of what is happening. It is a dressed up version of what is actually happening. The reality and the musicalness of this part are not clearly delineated. It is unclear what just happened. It is unclear if Lisa chucked her sax away and had a giant musical number that Marge was very impressed by. Like, what was so impressive that she actually did? It's very weird, and it's long, and it's not funny. So basically, this episode has some long joke sequences and a lot of musical interludes that are not funny. And that breaks everything up, and that makes it feel disjointed, even though, at the heart of it, we've got some pretty grounded stuff. So overall, I did enjoy it less than the last one. Oh, and I did want to say, too, the very last moment, the tag, it took me, I think it's like a decent idea. It's the idea that Marge is more accepting, I think this is what they're trying to say, Marge is more accepting of the jazz. She's able to enjoy some of what Lisa does. Lisa's playing with some of the nerds. They all get together to play music together in the house. And you see Marge kind of tapping her finger along to it, but then you see Maggie playing with a toy sax, and she grabs that from Maggie and throws away. Which, for one thing, I guess we'll ignore the fact that that's much too fucking mean for Marge to do, to pull a fucking toy away from her baby. And Maggie doesn't cry, just kind of accepts it. Whatever. Aside from the fact that that's much too mean for Marge to do, it's a decent ending to suggest Marge is a little more okay with the jazz now, but she still doesn't want to have her fucking other daughter grow up playing this shit. Plus, it ties in quite nicely with the other plot because we've got, on both sides, we've got Homer telling Bart, please don't make Maggie like you, and then Marge is implicitly saying, I don't want Maggie to be exactly like Lisa either. And that's actually a pretty good little dovetail of stuff there. It's just that the execution of it, and again, I bet, back in the day, editing, animation stuff would have communicated this better. I actually had to watch the tag twice to get what was going on. I didn't get... It was weird to me. Marge was in the kitchen tapping her finger. The music's coming from upstairs. I was like, wait, so Marge likes jazz now? What is this? I don't know. It's just the execution. I was just not even clear what was going. Why? Like, oh, and Maggie's playing a little toy thing. Like, yeah, and it's all in the middle of Homer throwing out shitloads of beer bottles, which I guess we're supposed to believe he just sat around drinking a lot of the time while Marge was gone. Yeah, I don't know. It's just a confused sequence, but the idea is kind of good. The idea of dovetailing all this stuff about Maggie works kind of well, and it also gives you a good bittersweet sort of ending where it's like Marge is more accepting, but she also not really. She's not gonna fucking turn on a dime and love jazz. But whatever, execution, blah. Basically, I'm coming back to everything idea-wise, not so bad. Execution, bleh. And let's just say at the very end here, why is this another episode about Lisa and Marge falling out? When we had one of these 2 episodes ago, the Mars episode was the exact same thing. Why is this happening again? All right, I don't know. I guess I give this one a rating of out of. That's all.
Cool news!
All right. Only thing I'm going to sell. This took me a while to make, to put this together. I'm also trying to do that Weezer review, blah, blah, blah. And then the real problem, what's been delaying everything I've been working on, is that Hyper Light Drifter came out. This was a game I kind of kickstarted on a whim. Similar to, actually I kickstarted it, I shouldn't, if I'm being honest, like an idiot, I kickstarted it because it had a tie-in with the new Shantae game, which is pretty shameful, because it's just corny, but I did it anyway, and it's one of those cases. I kickstarted Shovel Knight on a whim too, and I didn't think much was going to come of it, and this is like one of the best games I've played in a long time, and I rarely let a game just kind of take my attention away for days at a time, and I just try to want to finish it and stuff, but that's what happened. And I haven't been able to play it for maybe like 2 days now, maybe 2-3 days, and I'm not happy. I want to play more of it. I highly recommend it. Hyper Light Drifter, lots of fun. A bit obtuse. It's pretty big on not hand holding, which is it maybe to a fault. I would say to a fault in some places, but overall very cool game. Quite difficult. Apparently he keeps patching it because people keep complaining about how difficult it is. So I haven't even played it since it's been patched. Maybe it's super easy now. I'm not even gonna have any more fun. But whatever. There's a new game plus, so I guess that takes care of that. And just also, no episode quote unquote next week, but that's now. I took a whole week to record this. But basically this. I'm recording this on the Sunday that there's no new Simpsons, so I will put this up at some point during the week and whatever. We've had a week off. Is the bottom line. Whenever this goes up the following Sunday, there will be another new Simpsons. Hooray! And then fucking whatever. Blah, blah, blah. That's it. Great to talk to you. I hope we're still friends. Bye.